Please remember to like, subscribe and comment, as we love to hear back from our viewers. Also, if you enjoy our videos, please consider becoming a patron of our show through Patreon and or GoFundMe. Links are listed below the video in the description. From the deepest, darkest recesses of Dangerous Nerds headquarters, Keith Moncrief and Gerry Kissell.
Today we're going to be talking about some cool news, plus of course it's Happy Nerds Day, and we're going to have an episode with Susan's segment here coming up. I guess before we go into the major news, was there anything we wanted to talk about before we introduce Susan?
Well, we're going to start out, it being Thursday. It seems appropriate that we get into a story about, well, Thursday, which is named for Thor, and thus Chris Hemsworth. Yes.
Chris Hemsworth, you say?
Yes. He revealed during an interview that he almost quit Ghostbusters 3.
The shock of this. And I think I read a little bit about that where he said that it was over the fact that he was really terrified of all the improvisation you're expecting from him.
And he shouldn't have been. He was really...
He's amazing at improv. He was the single best part of that movie.
Wow.
And in fact, it's like, when I look back on that film, and I own it, I bought it because I'm a nerd. I try to support nerd stuff even if I don't like it. And I bought that movie, and I went to see it with my daughter. We were both very displeased with it. It's not a male thing. My daughter hated it equally. She made fun of it. She makes fun of it. But the problem is that there were really good parts in it. And one of the best parts was Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah, playing Kevin.
Kevin, the
receptionist.
Dumb receptionist. And so apparently the night before, he actually considered just not showing.
Bailing.
Yeah, that's it. I'm going back to Australia, where he's from. And of course, this isn't the first film that we heard this about, because there was more news that dropped about Chris Hemsworth too, which is with Paramount.
Oh yeah. He also explained why he turned down Star Trek 4, which, considering a lot of the problems behind the scenes,
whatever he said to be diplomatic. Yeah. What it comes down to, let's get it all out of the way, say it.
Money.
Money, money, money.
He's a big, big star.
Because they say money makes, or what is it, money makes the world go round. And the guy says, I thought it was love that made the world go round. He goes, yeah, the love of money.
That's right.
That was from the Heist movie.
Yep.
God, it was really good. Delroy Lindo and... Who was it? Was it De Niro? Who played the other character? No, it was Gene Hackman. Gene Hackman. I love that movie. That was a great scene. That line stuck in my head like forever, But anyway, when it comes down to it, it's all about money. And Paramount,
it's having financing problems.
It can't finance Star Trek.
Basically,
break it down for him real quick. Why? Everything failed with Chris Pine and Chris Hemsworth.
Well, basically, when Star Trek Beyond was released and it looked like it wasn't doing well, both that movie and the previous film, In the Darkness, had been co-productions with Alibaba, which was a major financing or financier of several Paramount productions, including the previous 2 Mission Impossible films. Well, Alibaba had a falling out with Paramount, and they decided they weren't going to work with them anymore. Well, now you have a major division dedicated to giving them money that is now no longer available.
They were financing their projects.
Yeah.
Well, they're not there anymore.
Yeah. Now, not everything was being done by Alibaba, but they were financing enough to keep Paramount competitive. Now, Paramount still is able to get enough money together to be able to run everything they need to do and release a certain number of films. without Alibaba, they just can't release enough films to make them as competitive as all the other studios.
This is Paramount, one of the oldest studios. Not the oldest, but one of the... Fox is the oldest studio.
And it is in my determination that some of this stems from the business faux pas currently within the company that they have, due to the fact that when Viacom split, both Paramount and Viacom split into two separate entities, and Viacom renamed itself CBS Incorporated.
Because they were treating Star Trek like it was Star Wars.
Yeah, that's
and
the way
I'm sorry,
CBS.
Star Trek doesn't make the money Star Wars does.
Yeah.
And they made a huge mistake. They split it up thinking that we can make money. No, the problem was they split the bank.
And took the rights for Star Trek away from Paramount. All of the decisions, the real decisions as to what Star Trek actually is and how it would be used, is currently in the hands of a group of people that have never really dealt with Star Trek as a property and don't really have no real history in working with the people that have created Star Trek in the past, let alone know how to deal with the fans and the other things that come up out of all of that.
And, and then on top of that, we have the thing with CBS, and CBS is trying to make Star Trek theirs. They don't want Gene Roddenberry's Star Trek anymore. They want CBS's Star Trek. That's why you saw what you saw. That major coup of firing all these names that were involved with Star Trek early on were fired. From Star Trek 2009, it was... what's his name?
Well, it was J.J. Abrams in the Kelvin universe.
No, but I'm talking about the guy that was originally writing it and then was kicked off in Kurtzman.
Yeah. When it came time to make the third Star Trek film, Roberta Orci, who had been with them since the first 2009 Star Trek and was a huge Star Trek fan of the original classic series, was supposed to take over both as director and as writer of the third Star Trek film.
He was promised. And they pulled a Ronald Moore on him.
Yeah, they basically screwed him on that deal and yanked everything, and at the last minute came in with a new script co-written by one of the stars of the film. And that became Star Trek Beyond. And the reasoning is because that first script was too Star Trek-y. That was the reason given.
And then, of course, Brian Fuller was brought in for Star Trek Discovery, and he was making it to Star Trek.
Yeah.
And he was shit-canned, and let's get JJ's buddy over here from the shitty movies.
So they brought in Alex Kurtzman.
Alex Kurtzman, the guy who couldn't write his way out of a fucking bag. He's a complete moron. Now, Gary Biegler won't say anything negative about him. He's just, he tries to I will say that I think he's a horrible freaking writer. Terrible writer. I don't know what he is as a person. He might be a good person.
Might be a really, really nice guy with a fine
But when it comes to
voice,
professional criticism, I consider him a complete hack as a writer. Doesn't know what he's doing.
2 seasons of Star Trek Discovery, and all
of them shit.
All I can say is the best thing they ever did was hire Anson Mount.
Anson Mount is Pike.
That right there tells you that not only does he not know what he has, but when he gets something really good, he still lets it go in favor of doing...
You can't take your eyes off Anson Mount when he's acting.
Oh,
you just want to see what's he doing, because that guy really, the camera loves that freaking dude. Now, Peck, the kid who plays Spock, did a solid job. I was terrified. I'm like going, oh, this guy's going to suck. They gave him an emo beard or something. And it's like, no, the beard actually was one of my favorite jokes. He wasn't even aware that he had the beard. She's like, makes fun of him for the beard. And he touches his face. He's unaware he even has a beard. I love that.
Yeah.
That was a great gag.
But trying to
they mishandled his character, too.
Trying to make a brand new Star Trek series where you're having to soak it in the blood of the original classic series. And you're rewriting major characters and creating plot holes and inconsistencies left and right so you could shoehorn in what you wanted to be.
The thing is, though, they're so not baptized in Star Trek, they're not even aware that they're doing this damage.
And they can't even write science fiction. I mean,
they have not one science fiction writer there. It's like Twilight Zone. They have one sci-fi writer, and he doesn't do the full writing. He did 2 episodes so far, and he only partially wrote them. They've got some comedian playwright that is an activist writing the scripts, and I'm like, well, no wonder they're atrocious. I mean, she doesn't even know how to address science fiction. And it's not a female thing. There are tons of great female science fiction writers out there that should be writing on Twilight Zone. Mm-hmm. And they got these people that don't know anything about science fiction, how to write an anthology series.
And when it comes to, at least Star Trek Discovery, they want to focus on your feelings. They're treating it like This Is Us when it's actually Star Trek. And not that you can't have feelings in Star Trek.
It's hubris is what this is. It's pure hubris. And when you see this kind of hubris, you see a division in the fandom.
Yeah.
Because there are certain fans who will suckle at the tit of whatever is thrown their direction. I'm serious. It's like, I don't hate you guys. You guys are your own thing. I'm sure you guys hate me. I wish you wouldn't, because I don't hate you. But the fact is, though, some of you fans out there will like anything when they slap a name on it. And it's like, oh, it's Star Trek. Oh, I'm going to love it. Well, even if it's not good, don't you expect something better from that thing that gave birth to science fiction for television? Because Star Trek was it.
Yeah. Star Trek improved science fiction. I mean, look.
It changed the landscape.
It was already,
Spock.
It was already doing well as part of Twilight Zone, but Star Trek changed everything, and it made it better. To have everything then just wind up the way that it has now has nothing to do with any sort of dislike of whomever. I still think Star Trek Discovery has one of the best casts on TV. They're just not being used and being served
exactly
well because the script sucks so bad.
You can have the best actor in the world and have a shitty script and have a film or show that sucks. If you don't write to the quality of the acting you have, you've wasted everybody's time.
That's right.
And that's what's happened with Discovery.
Unfortunately.
And Gary Beagler brought this up, and we've already talked about it ad nauseum. We're going to bring it up again. That even though it was greenlit for its 3rd season, we've seen zero activity with it. And he brought it up. If we don't see activity within the next 2 weeks, it ain't happening. Because for there to be a season to start properly the next year, it has to start within the next 2 weeks.
Plus the amount of money they're spending. I mean,
they're going to drop it. There's no way they can keep doing $15 million.
I mean, they could, but you'd have to be insane to just drop that kind of money per episode and not really get very much out of it.
Well, that's why I'm saying they will not be able to shoot with that budget. Because where are they going to get that money? Yeah. Amazon's not going to give it to them. Netflix is done.
Well, what I've heard is that Amazon's now starting to bulk at the amount of money
you were talking about
that they're trying to do for Picard. Because, again, another show that isn't what you are being led to believe that it is.
Because if Alex Kurtzman's involved with it, it is not canon. It's going to be based in the Prime universe. Period.
Yeah.
And it's going to be based off of the events that took place that showed some of the Next Generation characters in the comic book, which I finally did read.
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's actually a really good comic.
It's called Star Trek Countdown, and it was meant to be a prequel to the 2009 movie. The way I like to divide it up is...
Well, I think it was good because I think Robert Orsi was involved with the production of the comic.
That was back when they were working together.
Yeah.
But to me, you can divide it up into 3 ways. You have what I like to call original Trek, or classic Trek, or original timeline, which is everything you saw in the original 1966 series, leading all the way up and into Star Trek's final movie with the Next Generation, which was Nemesis. Once you get beyond Nemesis, everything that happened after Nemesis has nothing to do with any of the stuff from Star Trek Nemesis and before. All that is its own thing. Now, once you get to the 2009 Star Trek, beginning with the prequel book countdown leading into that movie and forward, is part of this new thing. You have it divided between the Kelvin and between the Prime. Kelvin and Prime are so close, they are pretty much the same thing. But the easiest way to explain it is the Prime universe is a slightly different version of the main Star Trek universe that we know. Leonard Nimoy playing Spock is the Spock of the Prime timeline and not of
the canon
or original
series.
That's right.
Spock.
That's because of the book Countdown. And that version of Spock, along with Picard, Data, and Geordi, were on a mission to save the planet Romulus, of which they weren't able to do because of the events of the prequel.
Well, because he got sucked back in time.
Yeah. Spock got sucked back. Well, not really. He got sucked back in time, but also into a what they call a slightly different timeline based on all that. So really, the Kelvin universe is really an offshoot of the same universe that you see the Discovery characters in.
And in fact, I would say that before Spock even came there, it was obviously a different universe because the starship, the USS Kelvin, looked nothing like what a Federation ship would have looked like from the classic series.
That's right. So all of
it had the look of the JJ universe.
Yeah, so it's all different. All of it's different. I know this sounds
25% different. Gary Beegler.
So it's all different. So all you got to really realize is if you take nothing else away, everything after Star Trek Nemesis, the final Next Generation movie, has nothing to do with any of the Star Trek The Next Generation episodes or any of the other shows like DS9, Voyager, Enterprise, even the original classic Trek. All of that has nothing to do with that. It's all its own thing. And thus, the new Picard series is a version of Picard that you don't know because that version of the character isn't or was not a part of...
Exactly. And of course, this leads us to, Quentin Tarantino wanting to do his Star Trek still, which we agree. I don't think it's going to happen.
No, I don't think it's going to happen.
Paramount doesn't have the money. We've talked about this before with Chris Hemsworth, etc. But basically, Quentin Tarantino really is pushing to do his Star Trek.
Now, if Quentin Tarantino can come up with the money himself, that'll give him all the power he wants to be able to make a movie the way he wants, which means...
If he can get his own investors.
That's right.
That's right.
That also will mean that Paramount won't have too much to say once he starts working on the movie.
They're going to be, okay, go make us money. Make us money.
That's pretty much what it's going to come down to.
That's exactly what's going to happen. But anyway, talking about Quentin Tarantino leads us to Susan. NERDSDAY with Susan. She's going to go off on one of her little rants, I guess.
That lively discussion.
Susan? What? So anyway, here you guys go. You've been waiting. Go take it, Susan.
Thanks, Gary and Keith. Hi, it's Susan Layton, and I'm here again with another NERDSDAY. This week, I'm talking about Quentin Tarantino. Yes, he's in a bit of a spot right now, but that's what I'm going to talk about. Recently at Cannes, he was interviewed by a female reporter and asked the question about Margot Robbie not having enough dialogue in his latest epic, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Now, the way that she phrased it was designed to make Quentin look as if he deliberately didn't give her dialogue because she's a female. And this is why I'm talking about this. As a female, it's not always necessary nor integral to every part or every movie that females have to have a certain amount of dialogue. It's not an unwritten rule. In the case of Margot Robbie, she plays Sharon Tate, okay? Now, when this film first came out in the media and people started hearing about it, it was posed as a film dealing with the Manson murders. But in fact, that's not really what it's about. That's the backdrop of it, but it's basically Quentin's ode to the 60s and a bygone era in Hollywood. And that's what's represented with Leonardo DiCaprio's character and Brad Pitt. Basically, DiCaprio plays an actor who's a has-been. He's on his way out because he doesn't fit in with the current scheme that was, 1960s Hollywood. They were around that time. It was getting into the era that was getting away from the studio system, thanks to Easy Rider, and it was getting more freeform. It was basically the birth of independent film, which I can't really say that because of Roger Corman, but it was close to what we know now. But this female reporter took Quentin to task and made him look bad in the media. Now, I'm not saying that he's an angel. Far from it, because we all know what happened with Uma Thurman. But what I am saying is she was giving him leading questions and trying to pose it that he has a beef against females, which, if we've seen Jackie Brown, if we've seen Kill Bill, if we've even seen Pulp Fiction to a certain extent, we know this isn't the case. I mean, Kill Bill was all about a female assassin, all about the strength of Uma Thurman coming back literally from the dead to avenge what was done to her. Now, that's a pretty strong female role, dialogue-driven, action-driven, case taken. Jackie Brown, another fine film with the wonderful Pam Grier. She was the central focus of it, and in fact, it helped her and Robert Forster get on the map again after being basically out of the spotlight for 20-some years when that film came out. And their performances, Pam Grier even outshadowed Robert frickin' De Niro. So I'm sorry, it was nice try for the reporter, but Quentin didn't take the bait. And now I guess if you don't take the bait and if you don't fight back, then therefore I guess that means that you're going to get taken to task anyway. I don't know. Things are getting a little strange, and we shouldn't be so biased as journalists. We need to ask questions, ask probing questions, but not leading questions designed to make someone look like a bad guy. I'm Susan Layton. This has been NERDSDAY. Back to you, Gary and Keith.
Oh my God, it's not a fair fight. You're a robot. Danger, Sting Robinson, danger. Ooh.
Susan, can you hear me? Susan.
Susan?
Yeah.
Oh, we're back.
Oh, hello.
Hey, guys. Okay. Well, thank you, Susan. That was a wonderful little rant. Or
Yes.
as you say, discussion.
Discussion.
I like ranting. It's my thing. I like to rant. So anyway, I guess we'll close up with one more thing. Oh wait, no, two things. We got two things. One,
by now you probably have heard and or have learned about actor Kit Harington checking himself into rehab, which again,
a luxury rehab.
Yes, but the thing is, it's good that he's done this. The fact that he was able to recognize that he had a problem. Most people like him, his age, because he's way younger than me, so he's a kid compared to me.
And he married a Scottish woman who will not put up with shit.
That's right.
They will beat your ass.
The fact that he recognized that he had a problem is really good sign.
Good on you,
Kid.
Kid. I kept wanting to call him John. Jon Snow. Winter is coming.
He'll be dealing with that for the rest of his life.
Good on you, Kid.
But
I wish him well. He's a really nice guy.
Yeah.
I've watched him in so many interviews, and it's so funny to watch how just really genuine he is about everything.
Well, this has been an incredible experience to work on this show, and it gave him his wife.
Yep.
So, I mean, again, I wish you
He
all the
actually
best.
fell in love with his love interest.
Yeah. So I wish you all the best. Get better, and I hope to see him in some.
Cheers. It's not alcohol. I don't drink.
Anyway,
then of course we got to talk about Netflix.
Yeah, there seems to be a rumor that there is going to be a more mature Hellboy series, reboot television series coming to Netflix.
That's what we hear. Come on, guys. The movie just failed. Do you think anybody's wanting to touch that with a 10-foot pole right now?
Even Netflix isn't gonna. They're not doing this.
And once again, I don't want to blame, because David, the Harbour that played Hellboy in this, did a fantastic job. It's a good film. It's not great. It's really, there's no story. It's weird. The best parts of the film, though, is really Hellboy doing this thing. Mm-hmm. Him doing it, the Baba Yaga was like one of my favorite moments in the film, with that chicken leg house. That was crazy. They should have made the whole movie about that.
What has been revealed so far is that we have another situation of a lot of studio infighting.
Well, it's not just a studio. In that, it was the two executive producers.
Yeah.
And they were harassing the director.
Yeah.
The entire shoot, undermining him with the cast and crew. Basically, whatever he would say goes, they would dismiss it and tell the actors to do other things right in front of him, and challenging his authority as the director.
Yeah, and
just
again,
don't do that. It was unprofessional.
If you know anything about filmmaking, the producers, even the executive producers, when you decide that you are going to hire a director, you're hiring that person because their vision is what you want to see. If you're going to go around and contradict everything they're saying, that means you're not on the same page, and this is not the proper director for you.
See, back in the old days, if that happened on a movie set, like John Ford, any of those, William Wyler, someone would get laid on their ass.
Big time.
It's like John Ford in particular. You didn't fuck with that dude.
Oh, geez,
John.
no.
I mean, I loved how he gave a role to Jack Lemmon for as Ensign Pulver and Mr. Roberts.
Mm-hmm.
When he met him, he walked up. They talked for a moment. He agreed for him to play the part. Spit in his hand and put his hand out, and Jack Lemmon was like, "Okay, we're doing it the old Irish way." Spit in his hand, and they shook hands. Really disgusting. But that's how John Ford worked. And he would not tolerate shit. Mm-hmm. And you hear something like this happening today, and these directors, and because going back to Anson Mount didn't take that shit from that director when he was giving him lip.
Yep.
And he stuck a finger in his chest, physically, injected his finger into his chest. And it's like, I don't know. We were talking about it today with one of the groups I'm in, that there is just a real lacking of masculinity in Hollywood, and you're getting this almost beta-like behavior from some of these people, and it's causing conflict that could be simply addressed and dealt with if somebody would just stand up and go, you need to shut the hell up and let me do my job. But everybody's become afraid to be that way. Mm-hmm. If I get aggressive, I'm going to have complaints about me. It's like this whole. I'm not going to get into it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get, but you know where I'm going. People got to stop doing this, and let people do their damn jobs.
Yeah. Once you get to a point where you hire a director, you let the director do the job you've hired them to do. Because that's the reason why you hired them. If these executive producers had such a strong feeling about the character.
Exactly. Those executive producers should have just directed it themselves if they're going to do that. It's a really shitty thing to do. It's unprofessional.
And it wasted so much time from the actors, the crew, everybody. You've just wasted everybody.
Killed the movie.
Yeah. On top of that, you killed the movie.
And so Netflix is not going to be talking about doing a Hellboy. Stop spreading the rumor. It's not going to happen. You've got at least a year to 2 years before you'll hear actual dialogue about something like this happening, because they're going to want to let time go. And the fact is, we don't even know if Netflix is going to be the Netflix we know.
Yeah.
What is it? We're down to 150 days?
Yeah, at least, give or take.
According to Forbes, that's what they said. 175 days, we're down to 150 days. And if they don't shit out a miracle, they're done. They'll still be around, but they're going to get bought up by somebody else.
Yep. And I'm telling you right now, Netflix, they're not fooling around with people that want to be wishy-washy.
They're going out making political statements, hurting their business. Why are they doing that? They're already in financial trouble, and then they go out and the people that they're talking about are customers. The people that they're talking about in Georgia are freaking customers. And they just dismissed Georgia today. What are you doing? What are you doing? You're killing your own business playing politics. You're not in the political business. You're in a business of making entertainment and making money, and you're hurting your own business. This is stupidity. Stop playing. Be in entertainment or go into politics. Make up your damn mind. Right? There you go. Anyway, that's Keith.
That's Gerry.
This is Pop Culture Minefield. We're out of here. Susan says bye too. Love you guys. Bye.